viewers, you're watching the Youth Dialogue and I am your host, Jennifer Sonko. It's always good to be back. So last episode, I talked about the fact that this coming episode, that is today obviously, we were talking about the voter registration process and the participation of young people generally when it comes to elections. So last week I had Fatoumata Gassama as well as Sainabou Cham. We talked about menstrual hygiene management. The feedback from the public was really good because, you know, there are a lot of norms surrounding menstruation to an extent that Gambians feel like this is not something that we need to discuss on TV. But we decided to break that norm and we actually decided to smash it. We didn't just break it, but smash it and decide to have that particular conversation on QTV because we feel like young people need to be educated when it comes to these things. So thumbs up to Sainabou Cham and Fatoumata Gassama for what you do. We really appreciate you. So today with me, I have Omar Danso from Activista as well as Bakari Sonko from Peace Hub. And I'll be disturbing these people's lives for the coming months before December because they are the ones that say they're there to ensure that young people participate peacefully. Bakari is there for that. And activists are there to make sure that young people participate in any decision-making process. So as long as this is what they signed up for, I'll make sure I'll be disturbing them from here to December. And luckily, they're always willing to come to this platform because it's their platform and it's that way that they can get some of their agendas and messages to young people out there. So thank you so much, Omar, for coming.
Thank you so
Omar,
much.
is this your first time coming to the show?
Of course, yes.
Oh,
This is my first time
wow.
of
So
being
this is
here.
your first time, but
Yes.
this is not your first time.
No.
This is your second time. Okay, so this is your spot. I know you'll be coming here more often.
Hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us here for the first time. Safe space for young people in the country. So considering the fact that this is your first time here, I will start with you. The voter registration process by the IEC started on the 29th of May, and it's going to go till the 11th of July. It's supposed to be for 44 days.
Yeah.
So what is your impression so far? I mean, the last time I went round and I was taking a look at if young people are there, if they're participating. But with what I saw, I did not see a lot of young people. It's not like my judgment is the general judgment yet. But I'm talking about the 3 polling stations, the 3 registration centers that I went to. I didn't see that. So what do you think so far since we started on the 29th?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jenaba. It's a honor for me to be here, representing activists, of course. I believe when it comes to elections and the voting processes, we believe that in order for us to have an inclusive governance system, there must be participation, and that participation, of course, should include young people in the process. So in doing so, I believe since after 2016 elections, we have seen an emergence of young people having politics, seeing politics as a necessity, as a discourse that does not only limit to the elderly, but they see it as their own sphere. So in doing so, we realize that after the this registration, and even before the registration, there are national discussions pertaining to elections and the electoral processes. And I believe young people begin to understand that whatever happens, the leadership always is the responsibility of those young people to actively participate in the processes, in identifying someone who will be able to hold accountable in the process, but also someone who will be able to lead us in the next 5 years. Okay. And I believe young people are coming out, even though we have some challenges, because when it comes to accessing national documents, you realize that not many young people have those documents. To an extent, they have to go and look for other attestations and so on. But putting that aside, I believe young people begin to understand that it's their right to participate in the electoral processes. And we are hoping that before the process ends, we will see a lot of young people not only looking for registration, but instead, even for when it comes to elections, young people will come out to contest for elections.
Okay, you talked about the fact that young people are affected when it comes to the fact that they do not have documents. They have to go to an alcalde to get an attestation. So I think your activism, your campaign for next elections should start from now in relation to young people, making sure they get to acquire the necessary documents that they need. Because lead fi em, lead of our continent, booking the same issues you nekk di am right now, ñu am ko in the next elections.
Yeah.
So I think what our activism should really focus on at some point has to also do with making sure that young people get their documents. There shouldn't be some sort of statelessness or something, because that's how I can call it. When you don't have a document of any country, automatically that's what you become. So we will get back to that shortly, just to allow Bakari to just talk about what they do a little bit, and then we'll come back to you in relation to that. So how are you preparing for the elections? December 4th is around the corner, and Peace Hub the Gambia obviously has to do with the participation of young people when it comes to the maintenance of peace. So what are your engagements so far to make sure that come December 3rd, everybody is patient, everybody is law-abiding, and do the right thing on that day?
Thank you very much, Jenaba, and greetings my co-panelist, Umar. Hello viewers, my name is Bakari Sonko, co-founder and National Programs Coordinator of Peace Hub the Gambia. Basically, Peace Hub the Gambia is a social cohesion organization that works around the participation of young people and women in peace building process. So basically, our work revolves around the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, 2250, 2419, and 2535 respectively. We understand that young people play a critical role in advancing peace and peaceful processes. And understanding that the young people form the majority of our population. You agree with me that over 65% of our population of this country consists of young people.
Yes.
And then the participation of young people in politics goes side by side with the participation of young people in peace building processes.
Sure.
That is why, even if you look at the United Nations Security Council resolution, the first pillar is participation in decision-making process. Because it is a firm belief that the moment young people take part in decision-making process,
then
they
peace
will
can
tend
be
to take
maintained.
a decision or make decision that will enhance and strengthen peace.
Yes.
So how Peace Hub is doing this is we are engaging young people through community dialogues, through social media, because we are very active on social media. And I'm glad to inform the general public that Peace Hub the Gambia will have its maiden Walk for Peace on the 12th of June, that is this coming Saturday, where we are targeting about 250 people, and we will having political parties come and sign peace commitment. The reason why we are doing this is we believe that, like Omar highlighted, there are a lot of young people who are actively taking part in politics. They are seeing politics as not a discourse for the elderly, but now they are seeing politics as a right, as something that they need to, as their responsibility.
Okay.
So we understand that we have a lot of young people who are supporting political parties. But when they see these political parties, especially their party leaders, commit to peaceful campaign, it will also inspire them to understand that, okay, my party leader took this undertaking on the 12th of June to maintain peace and to ensure that there is peaceful message and peaceful campaign. This will also inspire them to.
But Bakari, I just hope this thing, that this document that they're going to sign is not just going to be any random document. Because, man, I'm so tired of us having events, people come and say we are going to adhere to this, and at the end of the day, it doesn't continue. There's no mechanism put in place to hold them accountable that they are sticking to that. So how strong is this document? What is backing this document? To an extent that when these politicians give their commitment, at some point somebody can stand somewhere, I can come back to you, Dialogue, for instance, and say, okay, so political party made this commitment and did not, abide by it, and this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I want you to make that clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. That is one of the reasons why we are having it publicly.
Okay.
It's for the public to come and see. On this day, political party A, B, and C accepted this, and they signed to say that on the from the 12th of June, before, during, and after the 2021 election, we are committing to a peaceful campaign to ensure that the elections is peaceful and the election is free and it is also fair. Because we can have this signature or this commitment, we go to political parties, they sign it, and then we just make it in the media. But the fact that we are having more than 200 Gambians is a representative of a larger society of the Gambia. To see that Gambians are coming out. When they come out, this is what their political parties, those political parties that they are supporting or they pay allegiance to, these are the political parties that are committing to this. It should also inspire. Like we always say, that everyone has a responsibility to build peace, because it's a shared commitment, it's a shared responsibility. But then you will understand that those with bigger voices, the influential people, they even have a bigger role to play, because the moment they speak, a lot of people tend to listen to them.
Okay.
And the moment they say certain things, they are bound, morally, they are bound to abide by those
things.
things.
I just hope that they come out,
We hope so.
inshallah. I totally hope that they come out on that day to come and show that they're ready for peace. I think it's a very, very brilliant initiative. Just hoping that they take it seriously, because being in the media, we get to deal with a lot of events, and we know how events are sometimes in the Gambia. You call people, they come on board, and at the end of the day, the sustainability aspect is a problem. So I just hope that this is one of those sustainable initiatives that we would have.
I believe, just to add on what he
Yes.
has said, activists tend to take a similar but a different dimension.
Okay.
Yeah, because we believe that we have to thank the political parties to come up with the Inter-Party Youth Committee, the Inter-Party Youth Branch of the Inter-Party Youth Committee. Sorry, it was created. The idea was created. Imagine from the Inter-Party Youth Committee that was previously set up, but later they disbanded and come up with a new one. And
why did that happen?
Yeah.
Before you go on, I want to understand that. Because you know what?
Yeah.
When they first formed that inter-party committee,
Yeah.
they came to my program. And suddenly, I wasn't aware of their activities, and I was suddenly told that it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, I
It's
believe
been
it has
dissolved.
to.
So what
I
was the
believe
issue?
it has to do with the processes that we are taking
Okay.
to form the Interparty, because the National Interparty Committee is actually an act of parliament in a way, legislative in a way. So when the Interparty Youth Committee, the process that was set up
Yeah.
to set up the Interparty Committee, it is not in line with and it is not even recognized by the parent body, that is the Interparty Committee. Then they have to look for their own fundings to come up with their own youth branch of Interparty Committee.
Okay.
That we, at least, we're trying to work with them again to develop a strategy, peaceful strategy, because sometime in 2019, 2020, we organized an Interparty football tournament where we brought in political parties, militants, to play football, because we believe that football can be used as a mechanism to promote peace. So this time around, we want to work with them to develop a strategy that would at least enable peace, peaceful coexistence, because we cannot have democracy, we cannot have rule of law when there is chaos, when there is misunderstanding. So this, in doing so, we're trying to come up, we're trying to hire a consultant.
Okay.
The consultant will enable us to engage these people, and we also use to build their capacities to have an understanding of the purpose of politics and the political process. Why should young people participate? But in the end, we will be able to come up with a comprehensive strategy that the youth branch of the Interparty Committee can always use to build peace, and also to make sure that we have a desired Gambia that every young person desires.
Okay. So now let's move to the voter registration in depth. I went to a particular voter registration center, and I spoke to a lady. We have an insert quite shortly to show you guys what young people think about the registration process. So this lady told me, man dama dey dem si koñi di génné boy si ak xalé yi pour ñu génna ñu ñëw register. I'm like, I don't feel like it's somebody's responsibility pour mu dugga si koñi génné ndaw yi pour ñu register. Ñun ñoo wara génna suñu boppa. So man dama bëgg understand lan moy problème bi, because am nañ chance pour remedy situation bi 44 days. Dem na nak for not already few days dem na. Waaye ba léegi 44 days lu bari hit na si. Mun nañoo change mindsets, ah? Mun nañoo wara mëna change mindsets.
So for like you said, I feel like a national responsibility cannot be outsourced. Like you cannot actually outsource what is rightfully yours, what you need to do. So the fact that there is registration process, we don't need to tell anyone to go and register if you are eligible Gambian. But then, as like you said, we sign up to this job. We sign up to serve the Gambian people through our different organizations or collectively. But then we need to continue sensitizing people. We need to start it from our families, our friends, like our colleagues at school, at work, anywhere. We need to use our social media to ensure that every eligible Gambian voter registers for the 2021 election. So the honest truth is, we have the opportunity. We cannot wait until it's long gone, Then we started complaining again. If you complain, you are the architect of your own problem.
Yes.
So you have the opportunity now to register and decide on who manages your affairs in the next 5 years. So if you don't, and people go and register and they decide on your behalf, then you have
nothing to complain about.
nothing to complain about.
Exactly.
So it's important that we also engage young people. Like for me, it's always about young people. Because if you look at the voter role, compare the 2016, it was women who are the major deciders. It was, and also during voting, it's usually women who come. Sometimes it's not always about having the voter registration card. It's also about having it and making use of it. People will register just to have the document to go and do certain transaction. During election, they will say dama tayal pour them
So it
happened in 2016.
It's very simple because you talk to young people sometimes ñu na la dëkk bi hay dara amu fi ñun dañoo toog campé fii dañoo toog lii la ñoo def duñ def lii yow even soo votalee nit winut at least sa consent won na la ne yow jógoon nga on that day yow koo fa bëggoon a teg votal nga ko waaye mënu faa toog su boobaa yow nga join kooku noonu nga seet naka nga ko mën a développer ndaadu.
And then it's taxpayers' money that they are using to conduct this. So it's like you using someone giving you money, you just go and waste it like that. If you refuse to go and register one, and if you register also, you refuse to go and vote, you are also you're also wasting taxpayers' money, because it is taxpayers' money that is used to go and conduct all this process. Because every IEC official that is placed on that registration center, the materials that they are used, it's fully from taxpayers' money. So these are some of the things that we need to think around and see that we have a responsibility towards our own self.
Well, I think that's quite. So what do you have to say in relation to that? Because man dama tiit mu ne ma dama dee dugg si koñ yi di génne gars yi pour ñu ñëw vote xam nga. So I'm like man fooguma ne nit war na laa mën a génne pour nga ñëw vote waaye issue bi mooy soo ko seetloo ba seetlu sensitization bi dafa mel ne dafa des. because xam nga ne am na ñoo xam ne xamuñ ne seen voters card bu ñu usoon ci 2016 bi duñ ko mën a usaat. am na ñoo xam ne xamuñ loolu.
No, Jenaba, I think here is a systematic problem. You don't only blame the young people who did not come out. Civil society, really we trying our level best to sensitize Nini so that at least they will take up their responsibilities. But you go to the average Gambians, you ask them the reason why they should even vote. Some of them don't even know. Some people feel that, okay, our leadership is predestination. God yala moy tana kumo tek fofu. So if someone gets that perception or score hamne mune man sani na why in the end kuma sani is not helping me, it's not providing me with any development. So when those mindsets are already in place, it's the responsibility of all stakeholders to make sure that the information is passed on for us to understand the reason why we should even vote in the first instance.
There's an organization Butudani Civic Education something.
NCCA.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Man foog naa ne ñooñu xëj na ñoom ñoo war a xeex because man dama dee tiit nit su ma ne yàlla kum fi teg.
Yeah, I think, Geneva, I think
man
basically I think we shouldn't only blame the NCCA. It's a collective responsibility, and including activists in it. So
wow,
we are sensitizing people to participate effectively in the political processes. Why don't I even citing an example from the 2016 elections? Both supplementary voting process, registration process we pass. That was the time when young people begin to realize, okay, in fact, it's my responsibility. It's my legal mandate for man magena sani karta. So then I believe we shouldn't allow ourselves to go back to the same cycle again. So our responsibility legi from neka moy. What do we put in place to make sure young people ñoo xamne amuñ access to documents, national documents. Sorry to say, why we went round to this country, throughout the country, while we realized some of the registration centers are not accessible to young people. While so many national documents also, some of these communities are so remote to an extent, and the rate of poverty is even very difficult for them to acquire some of those national documents. Imagine a solar ID card. You are living far away. You need to pay fare to get to your destination. You scrutinize whether you'll get it or not, you don't even know. You might be rejected. You pay fare to and fro, the time consumption. In the end, they hinder their participation.
They should be mobile, wala?
In a way, they should be mobile. But the IEC also needs to come out and talk to people. But I think the sensitization perspective is also lacking, in a way. because electoral process baa ngee ñëw yaa dëgg la send nga itinerary bi to different play naka sa WhatsApp and so on, but how many people are actually online? I think it should be more of a national discourse where people will discuss, people will look at national issues, look at politics holistically. And I believe civic education, NCC, blame, but we need to look at civic education and try to embed it, mainstream it in our education system, where every Gambian will understand your right and responsibility. In doing so, you will not expect anyone kula wahne danga wara gaina dem sani kata, because you will see it as a right, you see it as a duty for every citizen to do so.
Omar, xam nga wax nga ne nekut responsibility council bi, that civic education council, which I totally agree with, nekut yen rek. Waaye yéen youth organisations yi dafa am lu ma observe si yéen loo xam ne man I'm not happy about. da ngeen dee xaar ba dara jege you guys go with the flow. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
da ngeen dee xaar ba benn step moo des pour ñu aaga si dara ngeen soog a door campagne, loolu campagne bi du mën a effective. xam nga tamit déedéet nañ leen waxante dëgg rek xam nga ñun ñëpp we are all in this together. te lii dafa nekk loo xam ne dañ ko dee def te man dama ko gis si jikko Gambien bi te this is something that ñun si young people yi ñun la war a dooree pour mu change. ñun dafa mel ni issue su amee social media ñëpp jóg 1 week later mu stop. ñun tam as young people that attitude warta reflect su ñun sax, because if not, the narrative will never change. One thing I observe about you youth organizations is that if something's coming up, everybody's up. When it's done, it's done. This civic education should be a 5-year sensitization.
Jenaba, I think if fatol yange topa, come num la ko wahe. I think this is the first time we are coming here. Why so this topa soon activities on social media. Then I realize it is part of our programs. Civic education is part of our programs. And we are implementing several projects that are focusing on how do we promote young people's participation, women and young people. So every now and then, so top Twitter, you will see where we are saying, okay, activists are in the field, sensitizing people about their civic rights and responsibilities, about democracy, about good governance, about elections and electoral processes. These are things that are going on.
Well, and how massive?
Yeah,
how massive?
No, it is part of it.
How massive?
Like I have to come into this. Before we actually founded Peace Hub, I serve as Programs Officer of the National Youth Parliament.
Okay.
So in 2019, we brought inter-parties together, and we started the conversation about the 2021 election to see how young people can effectively take lead in ensuring that it's like we projected something like this, that the registration process will come. IEC will come with the registration process. By that time, IEC were even working on the election bill, the electoral bill. So, like I still agree with you that we do wait, and sometimes it comes to an extent that you will say the sensitization is a bit late. However, that has to do with some challenges that civil society also face in the Gambia, a youth organization.
What are those challenges?
You understand?
Don't tell me money.
No, it's not only about money.
Okay.
It's not only about money.
Because send their mom rafetut si money mo. So bu leen fi wax money sax.
No, sun der rafetut si money. Comme I don't understand that.
Send der rafetut si money parce que ñu ne yeen youth organization si da ngeen dee door organisation 1 2 ngeen door di dawal moto. ñu ne yeen youth organizations yëpp a fi ëpp xaalis. So lan nga am pour wax si loolu?
Yeah, I think there are expectations that people have, because the moment that you're involved in a lot of things, people tend to build expectations around, which is so normal for people to have their expectation. But the reality is, this work is it's very hectic, because you sacrifice a lot in order to ensure that Gambian people know. It's not easy to get into that field. Omar will agree with me.
And I think what I do also need to add on also is people need to understand the dynamics in advocacy and campaign. You advocate based on social issues. So when it comes to elections, generally we might go out talk to people about governance. We talk to people about democracy, good governance, and so on. But based on the social concern at that point in time will determine the type of advocacy that you also need to do. So when it comes to elections, generally we'll talk about your right, your responsibilities, and also how do we hold government accountable. But when it comes to election, then it becomes a priority need. Then that priority needs that means anything that you need to talk about have to be about voting and the voting process.
I agree.
Even though just like last week, we went around on the moonlight storytelling, where we use our culture to sensitize people about migrant reintegration. But in the process, we talk about voting and the voting process. Why should young people vote? So that is one thing that people need to understand. And the other is, that is the perception about civil society organizations. People might tend to say, okay, Omar started working with activists and now he's A, B, and C. And I believe in every workplace, there is growth. And the growth is both organizational growth and in the individual growth. But not forgetting that the beneficiaries, direct beneficiaries, get what they are supposed to get. And I think that is what is happening. Most of us pay fare to go. Most of
I know,
us,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
we struggle to do what we want to do.
You pay fare to go.
Yeah, when
we
people,
met the other time.
Yeah,
You saw
I
me,
can
so-
attest to that.
yeah, so but when people see you, they will be like, okay, Bakari is
So I pay
enjoying.
fare, di?
Yeah, so that is, I think
Man, so
that
I
is,
pay fare
that
to
is,
go.
that's a misconception
Yeah.
that is surrounding us. But I believe one thing, getting the voters card is one thing. Going back to elections, but how are you going to vote is another.
And another problem.
Yeah, because we have engagements with few people. They will tell you, we vote for someone, yeah, because you like the person,
Yes.
not based on competence.
Yes.
Sometimes people vote based on political lines.
They sometimes,
People, yeah.
man, best bobu no key peace ambassadors, they were here. They do the situational report ahead of the elections. He talked about the fact that I'm na kena kuko wahne. Hi man, pare na fi kom ka am na t-shirt rek I'm done. So you can see that sometimes it's about people do not even understand that they want to read manifesto. Put you them vote.
Yeah, so that will bring me to this point. I think it's high time that political parties, they are the key stakeholders in everything that we're talking about here. Those manifestos, I think it should be make so much law for every Gambian to access those party manifestos.
Yes.
Because the effective and efficient implementation of any development plan or agenda so reflect national capacity. And how does that reflect national capacity? It's when people know what they are going into. Like every young Gambian should know that, okay, party A, party B, party C, party D, this is what they have for us in on the education. This is what they are going to do on the health. This is what they are going to do on the let's say agriculture, like on peace, security, especially concerning the 13 thefts of burglary and theft. That is the high crime rate that is actually rising in the country recently. We need to understand that our political parties should actually comprehensively in their documents tell us this is what and what we are going to do. This is our priority. And on the priority A, B, and C, this is how we are going to do it. That is going to at least give us chance, the voters, and the opportunity to look at and scrutinize this document and make decisions based on it. But then not only on this party have bigger number, this party has another bigger number, or they are doing this, or this person is the leader of this party. It doesn't work like that. Our politics should revolve, and it has to, and we have to ensure that, especially young people, we have to ensure that we scrutinize these policies to ensure that we vote for progress, peace, and prosperity.
I think
as,
that is the most important
motto.
thing. Due to time constraints, I would have wanted this conversation to continue, but due to time constraints, probably, Omar, you can just give your viewers, especially young people out there, the final message in relation to voting and getting your voter registration to start with.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jenaba. I think every young person needs to understand that elections is a process of holding government accountable. It's an accountability process, and it's also making sure that your voice is heard. So it's our time to get the voters card and we vote so that we will be able to happily stand in any platform to say that, okay, I participated in the decision-making process of my country.
Okay.
And these 2021 elections shouldn't be something that young people should just let go. But we should be able to participate to get the voters card, but also contest in the subsequent elections if possible.
Exactly.
For our voices to be heard.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to realize that you go to the councils, there is no plan for young people. You go to the national level, those plans are not, they are only on paper and they are not in existence.
Yeah.
We need to put in people who can actually provide for us.
Yeah, thank you. Bakari?
Thank you very much. And just my last few words to every young person there. Do not only get the voters card. If you don't register, please go and register. The IEC team is on the ground. please provide any of these documents, your birth certificate, your ID card or passport, or an Alcalo or SEFO attestation to get you eligible for a voter's card. And please, when you get this voter's card, please, 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 on the 4th of December, please go and register. And one thing, don't forget to attend the Walk for Peace.
Yes, and don't forget to read these people's manifestos to understand what their programs and agendas are. Come when we also go to the next cycle, when it comes to parliament, don't listen to an aspiring parliamentarian. Go and understand Ward C, Ward Councillor C, what is their responsibility? Parliamentarians, what is their responsibility? Because kuneka danga am limit. When you understand these limits, you will lower your expectations or know where you're supposed to expect what or what not to expect. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming to the program. Like I said, this is not going to be your last. Before December, I know I'll be on your necks, making sure that you guys are sensitizing people. And like you said, it's important that we all come out on June 12th to attend the peace walk. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. So let's try and do that. We will take a short break. So in this particular break, we have young people talking about why they went out to register to vote and the message they have for other young people in relation to going to register to vote and coming out in December 3rd. Stay tuned. Hello guys, so we're right here in Kotu, the football field obviously. So I'm doing my voter registration here in Kotu because it's not far from where I live and this is the nearest center that I have. So I'm so excited to be doing this voter registration process for the first time. So I'm about to do it. So all you have to do is to get a birth certificate, a passport, or an Alcalos attestation or your ID card and get to be registered and fulfill a constitutional right that you have. So I'm so excited to know how the process goes. So follow me and let's find out how the process goes. Urging all of you guys to do the same thing because I mean, people are like, young people are always complaining about issues, and for these issues to be solved, we have to go out in our large numbers in December 3rd to make sure that we vote for whoever that you want to vote for. It's left to you. So let's go take a look at how the registration process goes.
My name is Rene Ndur. Yeah.
So you get to fill the forms.
Yeah. I get to fill the form, yes, for them.
So what should I provide you right now?
You should provide ID card, biometric, passport, and a birth certificate.
So I have my passport. Yes. So let's start the process. Mariama tey gis nañ ne da nga génn si pour register pour nga mëna vote lan moo tax nga ñëw.
kan man dama fonk suma réew moo tax ma génn.
I'm here to acquire my voter's card. Yes, because the voter's card is your voice. You cannot be sitting at home without voter's card and still complaining the government is not doing anything. So if the voter's card will speak for you, that's where you will, choose the candidate that you think can run the country.
am na njëriñ man nu ma ko gisee daal parce que ku nekk sa choice ngay ut xam nga pour nga mun a sànni karta nga mun a am kuy sa choice su nekkul loolu sànni loo karta doo mun a xam kan mooy sa choice.
dama ñëwoon daal pour uti si voters card because voters card dafa important trop soo amee voters card da ngaa mun a vote waaw soo toogee si kër bi daal bañ a ut si voters card bañ a vote loolu daal baaxut as a citizen bépp citizen da nga war a génn si ñëw xam nga rek find sa choice daal waaw.
léegi lan nga am pour wax ndaw yi nga xam ne ñu ngi toog seen kër yi ñu ne waaye government bi defuñ fi dara ñii defuñ dara ba pare toog bañ a génn ñëw jël seen kaddu pour mun a vote in December 3rd yow lan nga am pour wax ñooñu.
man de man lu ma mun a advice ngay xam nga ñu génne rek ndax nga dëkk bi moom ñu ñëpp ñoo ko moom waaw ñu jàppalante rek loolu moo gën a am solo.
Let them come out and acquire for voters card. It's very, very important. That's the time, you know, you will have voice, you can speak, but if you don't vote, you cannot speak. Now, for instance, now the Mr. X is there as the president. He's doing rubbish. He's not doing anything that will take the country forward, and you don't vote. You cannot say anything. In fact, I can say, in fact, you contributed to his, misleading the people of this country because you don't vote. Had it been you vote, maybe the candidate you prefer can run the country would have at least acquired that position.
loolu moom amul benn njëriñ moom amul benn njëriñ dañu war a ñëw génn si am nga ut si voters card ñëw try pour vote daal loolu laa leen a advice na ngay try ngay génn si man mii suma boppa fan yii yëpp maa ngi bëggoon na ñëw waaye génn si moom waaye tey moom try naa pour génn si ñëw ut si voters card.
li mooy suñ voice moo tey maa ngi dugg si gox yi di génnee xale yëpp boys yi waaw am na ñoo xam ne nag yoo xam nga naka la fa demee Gambian fonkuñ documents am na ñoo xam ne Gambian lañ ba pare amuñ sax birth certificate understand nga sakatuma London Corner buñ nekka nii duumos si foro corner bi yéen xam ngeen nawet bi nakal mi ñu dee sonal moo tax maa ngi génnee ñëpp nag pour mboolem koo xam ne Gambian nga xam ne yow yu waa really nekk Gambian na nga génn si nga ñëw parce que lii moo nekk ñun suñ voice lii moo nekk ñun suñ right soo leen génnutee ñu saani karta yéen amu leen dara loo leen war a wax so boys yi maa ngi leen di gën a ñaan boys yi nag laa nekk di wax boys yi mboolem koo xam ne yow xam nga ne yow Gambian nga na nga génn si nga ñëw ut si voters card.
jigéen yi nag jigéen yi
tamit waaw jigéen yi tamit ñoom i tamit dañ dee nekk last minute man moom dama dee dugg si biir kër yi yëpp mboolem koo xam ne yaa ngi Gambian nga nekk Gambian ba pare fonk lool yi dama la dee génnee ba pare maire yi màgget yi tamit loolu laa nekk di ñaan yàlla loolu laa nekk di ñaan mboolem koo lii soo xamee ne mënuloo te nga nekk mag dañ dee dugga si biir kër yi ñu génne la pour nga ñu ut si waaw.
waaye yow yaa ngi dugga si kër yi di génne mbaa duñu wax ne yow nag si benn pati nga bokk yow foo far yow.
man fu nekk laa far waaw fu nekk laa far pati bu nekk laa far parce que man faruma fen waaw pati bu nekk laa far fa maa ngi fii suñ kansulo bi waaw Moussa Thiam waaw moom laa fi nekkal waaw pour di mobiliser gars yi waaw yéen a ma gën a xam. jërëjëf ok.
Welcome back, viewers, from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV Youth Dialogue. And in that particular insert, you saw young people in different registration stations talking about why they're out to register and why they need to vote in the December 4th elections. So we had Peace Hub the Gambia, as well as activists, and we had a brilliant conversation. So now it's time to change the direction to a little bit about what women should do come December 4th. Why should they register and why is their participation important? However, reports have shown that women have been participating really well when it comes to registering and voting. But how about them becoming politicians? This is something we're talking about. So with me, to help me answer all these questions, I have Lala Toure. Lala is a youth activist. She's been on the show a couple of times. So now we also have Honorable Diggin. I'm not going to miss the honorable for nothing. I'm not going to miss the honorable for nothing. Yeah, so we have an honorable right here today. She's the Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament. Thank you so much for joining us, honorable. Yes. So let's start with you. I know you've toured the country to sensitize people, especially women and young people, in relation to their participation come December 4th. And to start, you have to register to vote. Yeah. So while you guys were doing that tour, what do you hear from women? What are women saying? What is the perception of women when it comes to registering to vote?
Generally, thank you very much, Jainaba, for having me here first, and thank you for that question. Generally, women are very active when it comes to political participation in our country. Even when we were having our caravan, when we enter a village or a town, like the first people you see coming out are women. So like they're very much interested in what happens in the political cycle and how it goes. The only thing lacking, like you said, is now us taking the soul and you know, taking what we deserve from the national cake. That's the only thing where they are lacking behind. But they will ask questions as to do we think they can, you know, register with their old ID, their old ID card, or they can reuse their voters card they had in 2011 or all that. So we have managed to answer their questions and clear their doubts and encourage them to go register
and vote eventually. But did you make it clear to them that the voters card they used in 2016, they can't use it now?
Yeah, we overemphasize that.
Yes.
We overemphasize that everybody needs to go and register.
Again.
Yes. It's a general registration for this.
Yes.
And everybody needs to have a new voter's card to be able to take part in the December 4th
elections. Yes, so Lala, she just talked about the fact that, you know, women are very, very active when it comes to registering and voting. But they find it difficult to be on the seat to be voted for. So I don't know, you've been fighting for this for quite a long time, you know, running up and down, doing conferences in relation to this. So still, what is the problem? Lola Habuga understand.
When it comes to women representation in politics, in national politics and decision-making processes, there is a very fundamental problem.
Yes.
And there are so many barriers that actually hinder the active representation, the meaningful representation of women in politics. And it starts from the political parties that women are affiliated to.
Yes.
You look at the political parties that we have in the Gambia, the internal structures do not even support women taking representation, women taking leadership within the political parties themselves. So what happens if those political parties take up national leadership? How is it going to change anything? So that is where the problem begins, because you look at the statistics and you realize that women have been voting, women have been participating in electoral processes, women have been campaigning, but all of these have been limited to supporting the male counterparts. And like we say when we have dialogues like this, it is not a competition, it is not women trying to take the spaces from men. It is women saying that we are participating. We want to be a part of national development. Exactly, it's a space. And then we are here to claim our spaces. We are here to take our seats. But there are fundamental problems, fundamental barriers that will continue to hinder the active and meaningful representation of women. Right now we have a parliament of 58 seats and we have only 5 seats occupied by women. And 2 out of those women were actually nominated. They were not elected into those positions. And so you realize there is a big problem, and even whereas the country is taking steps towards ensuring that there are policies in place that support women representation, like we had the draft constitution. How many political parties were in support of that draft constitution? And that draft would have provided extra seats for women in the parliament to also take part in national decision-making processes, but we saw the limited number of people that actually supported that campaign. And right now we have the gender parity bill, which is also not getting the support that it needs to get. Or it deserves. So you realize that all these patterns show you clearly, it clearly indicates the unseriousness and the lack of interest, the unwillingness of the people in the right spaces, the right positions to support this agenda.
So do you agree with the quota system?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I do. And I've seen a lot of debate about people saying
you
it's
agree?
tokenism.
Yes, no?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes,
okay,
I do.
then we can't have a debate.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a debate,
Yeah.
but unfortunately.
I mean, I've seen a lot of conversations, people saying it's tokenism.
Yeah.
This is something that women should also fight for these spaces. It shouldn't just be delivered to
way,
them.
what do you
Women
think
have been
about that?
fighting for that.
Really?
Women have been
Lala,
fighting
are they
for that.
fighting enough in
Women
Gambia?
in 2017, all of us saw an increase in the number of women that actually went up for the parliamentary elections.
Yes.
How many of them won? When women come out for these positions, it is not as it is not for the men. It is not as difficult as it is for the women. When women go in for political campaigns, you have to consider how to look, what to wear, what to say, what your past is, whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you had a child out of wedlock. You're judged based on things that have nothing to do with your competence and your ability.
All those things.
Exactly, and your ability to lead when you're in these spaces.
Yes.
So it's like men are given a free ride, and when you come to finances and resources, neka na lunga hamantene is very important in every campaign, whether you're a man or a woman. But how many women have access to the finances and the resources they need to be able to run campaigns successfully? How many of them have access to the capacity that men have to be able to have campaign strategies and campaign messages? And so all of these influence
technical support
exactly.
and all of those
so
things.
it's not as easy as it is for men, and then you want to acknowledge the fact that we live in a conservative society,
Very
a patriarchal
patriarchal.
society, where misogyny is internalized, you know, women are objectified and all of that. So put jigen tahaw ne dama buga neka parliamentarian, dama buga neka president, dama buga neka deputy. It become exactly. So jigen ak goor fuñ taxawé chances are goor bi moy win. So lolu mota exact. So lolu mota jigen yi tam just the need pour wax ne nañ am sit si parlement bi yu nga xamantene dañ ko jox jigéen yi nekkul ne dañ leena jox favor pour wax leen ne am jël leen li yena ko moom. It's not a favor waaye gis nañ ne jigéen yi depuis 1965 ba léegi ñu ngi xeex pour am place yi mënuñ koo am.
Okay. So what's your take on that?
My take is it's always like, why are women given free ride? But for so long men have been given free ride, and we are not saying don't give them free ride. All we are saying is, you know, present equal opportunities.
Okay.
If the playing field was level for both men and women, we will
To
not be talking
compete?
about this.
Wow.
We will encourage everybody to just go and compete for the prize, and then who deserves it, take it home. But it's not the reality. Like Lala said, it has been economic, it has been traditional, and many other things, you know, intertwined that is hindering women's participation in taking positions in politics. And if having the quota system is the solution, why not?
Okay.
And Jennifer, we'll be surprised if we have the quota system in place and have women in parliament. We will see the changes that happens in our parliament and the changes that happens in our country. Like they will genuinely participate.
So ame
dinañ jóg cause right now yaa ngi gis parlement bi jigéen yu fa nekk Mercy Yakumba Jaiteh, Mercy Touma Njie, their energy, their drive, their passion, their commitment to change things in that parliament, to change things in this country. It's a clear manifestation of what women can do, what young women can do. And you look at the activism spaces, Nyom Degen, Nyom Fisco, look at how active, how driven these women are.
Yeah.
And then that alone shows what is going to happen, the difference that is going to happen when these women take up those spaces.
But man luma dey gis moy most of the time president bi na neka goor jigen bi mun na neka vice president. That brings me to her.
I was gonna say
nañ wax ci mbiram mom because mom she's the deputy speaker. Why didn't you go for speaker? Is it because ne jigen nga ñu saani la fa? Ndax yow sa coobare la pour nga dem speaker. Let's have an honest discussion
No,
here.
not really. When I was becoming the deputy speaker, I had never wanted to come to national level because just for honesty purpose, like our regional chapters at some point were struggling, and I really wanted to stay in West Coast and you know, revive the regional structures. That was my intention. And then Champion wanted to come in for speaker, and he was like, Dex, I can't have a better deputy, honestly. So
I can't have a better deputy.
Yeah, we need to go to the national. But I was like, no, I am staying in West Coast
region.
You know, he insists that we need to come to the national level. So that's what brought me to the national level as a deputy speaker.
But what if Champion came to you and said, Degen, dama buga nga neka speaker bi. Ma neka deputy speaker, mala support. Ndax bobu that conversation did it come up?
No. It
So,
never did.
Hamza, champion, we're not hating on you. Champion is our champion,
Yeah.
okay? We're not hating on you. But these are conversations that
We need to have,
Parce que
yeah.
Lala, li perception la ne, jigen vice la muna ne.
Yeah.
Understand? Li perceptions yo hamna la dafa am.
And nga dega niti, so for all the time that I was mostly participating in politics, danga dega niti do, oh, you're so good, you're so driven. I hope one day you will be the vice president of the country. What happened to me being the president of the country?
It's not possible.
So that just shows how the society has normalized women deputizing men and being in secondary positions.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Normally, Lulu, I think that is just the perception of everybody. Ne ñun dal ñun duñ mëna nekk leaders because we're always supposed to be deputies. I'm looking forward to you being the speaker one time.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it is something that you can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like yo dang fa wara nekk to pour speaker being a pusko.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Do you have a voter's card, Lala?
I'll get mine tomorrow. So our office has been observing the process, and it's been a lot of work, and you literally don't even have a chance to go get one. But tomorrow, I'm making that my priority.
Okay, do you have one?
Yes.
Okay, how did you feel?
I feel very excited to have the national voters card.
Yes.
Because like when I hold my national ID and I hold my national passport and my national voters card, I am like, these are all documents that qualify me to be a fully fledged citizen of my country, and it makes
very
me proud.
good.
Yeah,
Yes, I
it
felt
makes
the
me
same
proud.
way. I felt the same way as well. I got mine, and I showed the viewers the process. In that particular instance that they saw, I showed them the process of getting it, the thumbprint. Although my picture wasn't really good, to be honest. I think
that's with everybody.
Yes, my picture was so bad. So, ladies, due to time constraints, I think I prefer this conversation to the conversation that I had with the two men. That this is a better conversation for me. But due to time constraints, we just have to wrap it up. Lala, what message? And Lala, congratulations. You're a Mandela Washington Fellow.
Thank
congratulations for that.
Thank
So
you
I
so
guess
much.
we'll have another session where when the application opens, then you can give us tips. Final words.
Sure. I'll thank you, Jenaba, for having me here. This is like my family now. I'm always here all the time.
Yes.
I would like to use this opportunity to call on all young people, all young women, especially to go out and get their voter cards. This is the only opportunity that we have to make things right. If you want to make things right, this is the opportunity that we have to bring about the development and the change that we really, really want to see in our country. So use this opportunity to go register, because it is only through registration that you're going to be able to vote. So make your vote count.
So sa vote bobu minute na hit na ko fi nekk dang ko gene so bëggee mu toog na toog so bëggee mu dem na dem
Des na si yow daal.
des na si yow daal waaye bu fi toog daal ba nit ñi vote ba pare nga toog si benn corner di complain loolu duñ ko fi jëlal kenn.
Thank you very much, Jainaba. Where I will close from is I will start on calling government, civil society organizations, political parties to be genuine about calling of the women participation in politics. Let us be genuine so that when we come to the parliamentary elections, we want to see political parties bringing out women to, to vie for these positions at in their constituencies. We want government to be serious when it comes to policies and programs that enhance women participation. We want the civil society organizations of this country to be serious in the advocacy for women participation in politics. Let them start with themselves before we talk about the political parties and government.
Thank you so much. I mean, like I said, this is my favorite part of the whole conversation. But Lala, I think you have to be back here at some point to just give tips about this Mandela Washington. Sure. I think it's really important. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
So I just hope you'll be the speaker at some point. Sure. We are watching you, okay? Yeah, we are watching you and we are rooting for you. So viewers, we will take a short break. So in this break, we have President Adama Barrow urging young people, especially first-time voters, to come out to do their registration within these 44 days. So let's take a look at that. And when we come back, we will get to wrap it up. Do stay tuned.
The message to the young people is the same message to every Gambian. They are Gambians. They are part of this society. If you are part of a society, you should be part of the decision-making body. If you are registered, you can make the decision. That means you will select people who will represent you. So we are calling on every Gambian, especially youth, especially first-time voters. Let them come out in their numbers and register. This population, the population of the Gambia, is about 60-65% youth. So we expect the number of youths registering to be very, very high. So we are calling on everybody to come and register.
Viewers, that is all we have for you in this edition of the Youth Dialogue. That was President Adama Barrow sending a strong message to young people, especially first-time voters, in relation to their effective participation in this electoral cycle. The braids are by Safi Salon. Her number is right in front of the screen. Take it, contact her. She'll provide you hair, obviously, as nice as this, or even better. So don't forget to connect with QTV on our different social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay connected with what QTV has to offer. My personal social media handles are as well in front of you. Take it and contact me in relation to your comments and your recommendations. Till I come your way next week with other young people doing extremely well across the country, do stay tuned. Bye for now.